The big meeting room was very quiet. Too quiet. Ambassador Tai Min could feel all the alien eyes watching him. He sat in the human chair, the only normal-sized chair in a room full of giants and strange beings. The Galactic Council had been talking for 3 hours. 3 long hours about what humans could and could not do. 3 hours of new rules that made human life harder. Tai Min had heard it all before. The same words, the same excuses, the same lies. The human species needs better control, said Chancellor Crixtall. The crystal being's voice made a sound like breaking glass. Your people are too wild, too free. This is dangerous for galaxy peace. Tai Min did not speak. He just listened. Counselor Vorth stood up. The big Makthul was 3 times taller than any human. His thick arms moved as he talked. Humans expand too fast. Take too many worlds. We must stop this now. More alien voices joined in. The Neph Collective spoke through their gas cloud form. Their words came out like whispers from many mouths at once. Human trade hurts other species. Human medicine makes aliens weak. Human technology spreads too much. Control is needed. Tai Min looked around the room. 12 different alien species sat in the council. All of them had voted yes to the new human laws. Laws that would make humans second-class citizens in their own galaxy. The new rules were simple but cruel. No human could start a new colony without council permission. No human ship could carry weapons, even for protection. No human could trade rare metals or advanced technology. All human medical research had to be shared with alien governments for free. Human children would be taught by alien teachers to make them better citizens. But the worst rule was the last one. Every human world would have an alien observer. These observers could stop any human project they did not like. They could arrest any human who caused trouble. They could even decide which humans were allowed to have children. So Young sat in the back of the room. She was the human military attaché, but she was not allowed to wear her uniform here. The council said military uniforms were aggressive symbols. She watched Tai Min's face. After 30 years of knowing him, she could read his thoughts. He was done talking. Tai Min stood up slowly. His old legs were tired from sitting so long. He picked up his papers and put them in his bag. The room got even quieter. "Ambassador," said Chancellor Crixtall, "we have not finished the discussion." Tai Min looked at the crystal being. His face showed nothing. No anger, no sadness, no fear, just empty calm. "Yes," Tai Min said. "We have finished." He walked to the door. His footsteps echoed in the big room. "Where are you going?" "Counselor," Vorth demanded. "You cannot leave during a council meeting." Tai Min stopped. He did not turn around. "I am not leaving a meeting," he said. "I am leaving a trial where the judge and jury decided our fate before we walked in." "This is not a trial," said the Neph Collective. "This is democracy. The council voted. The galaxy has spoken." Now, Tai Min did turn around. He looked at each alien face. Some looked angry, some looked confused, some looked afraid. "The galaxy has spoken," he repeated. "And so have we." He pulled out his communication device. It was a small, human-made gadget that could send messages across the entire galaxy in seconds. He pressed one button. The message was short, just 2 words and a number. Protocol 7. Every human in the galaxy would know what that meant. Every human ship captain, every colony governor, every space station commander, every research team, leader. They had all been taught Protocol 7 in secret. They had all hoped they would never need to use it. "What did you just do?" Chancellor Crixtall's voice was sharp now. "I did what humans do best," Tai Min said. "I solved a problem." So Young stood up in the back. She knew what Protocol 7 meant too. She had helped write it. Her heart was beating fast, but her face stayed calm. Tai Min walked toward the door again. This time, no one tried to stop him. "Ambassador," called Counselor Vorth, "you cannot just leave. We need to talk about this. We can find a compromise." Tai Min paused at the doorway. He looked back one last time. "There are no words left," he said quietly. Then he was gone. So Young followed him out. In the hallway, other humans were already moving. Diplomats, traders, scientists, all the humans who worked in the council building were packing their things and heading for the exits. "How long?" So Young asked Taemin as they walked. 48 hours for the first wave," Taemin replied. 1 week for total evacuation." Behind them, alarms started ringing in the council chamber. The aliens were just beginning to understand what was happening. Across the galaxy, human ships were receiving the Protocol 7 message. On the cargo ship New Seoul, Captain Jae-hyun read the message twice to make sure he understood. Then he called his crew together. "Plot a course for Rally Point Alpha," he told his navigator. "Best possible speed." "Sir," said his communications officer, "we have 15 alien ships scheduled to pick up cargo here." "Cancel all deliveries," Jae-hyun said. "Send the aliens our regrets. Tell them they will need to find another shipping company." On mining station Kepler 442b, engineer Hyun-woo was checking the day's production reports when the message came through. He looked at the numbers on his screen. The station produced rare metals that 37 different alien species needed for their technology. Without these metals, their ships could not fly, their cities could not run, their medical equipment could not work. He pressed the emergency shutdown button. All across the station, machines stopped working. Conveyor belts stopped moving. Refineries went quiet. The great fusion reactors that powered everything began their shutdown sequence. "Sir," said his assistant Yoonji, "the NEF delegation wants to know why production has stopped." "Tell them we are having technical difficulties," Hyun-woo said. "Tell them we will contact them when the problems are fixed." He did not mention that the problems would never be fixed. Not by humans, anyway. Dr. Minho was in his laboratory when the message arrived. He was working on a cure for Makthul bone disease, a sickness that killed thousands of aliens every year. He had been close to a breakthrough. Very close. He saved his work to a secure human server. Then he deleted everything from the lab computers. All his research, all his data, all his notes. Gone in seconds, his alien research partner, Dr. Kelvoth, watched in shock. "Why did you do that?" the Makthul doctor asked. "We were so close to saving my people." "You were close to taking credit for human work," Minho replied. Again. He packed his personal belongings and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Dr. Kelvoth called after him. "Home," Minho said, "wherever that might be now." In the council building, chaos was spreading. Alien leaders were making urgent calls to their home worlds, trying to understand what was happening. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Human colonies were going dark. Human ships were disappearing from trade routes. Human research stations were shutting down. Chancellor Krikstal tried to call Tae-min, but the human ambassador's communication device was turned off. She tried to call the human embassy, but no one answered. "Find them," she ordered her security chief. "Bring them back." But the humans were already gone. Not just from the council building, but from the council world entirely. The last human transport had left the planet's surface an hour ago. For the first time in galactic history, the council chambers were completely human-free. In space, the human exodus was beginning. Ships that had been scattered across the galaxy for hundreds of years were coming together. They formed long convoys heading toward the edge of known space. Taemin sat in the command chair of the diplomatic vessel Sejong. Around him, other ships appeared on the scanner. Cargo vessels, research ships, colony transports, even some old military cruisers that humans were not supposed to have. "Sir," said the ship's captain, "we have confirmation from all sectors. Protocol 7 is 93% complete." Taemin nodded. "And the other 7%? Volunteers staying behind to help with final evacuations. They will follow in the last wave." So Young stood next to Taemin's chair, watching the stars. "Do you think they will follow us?" "They will try," Taemin said, "but they do not know where we are going. And they do not know how far we are willing to go to stay free." The convoy jumped to hyperspace, leaving empty space behind them. For the first time in 300 years, there were no human ships in the core worlds. The great silence had begun. The mining station was huge, bigger than most cities. It floated in space around a dead planet, pulling rare metals from the rocks below. For 50 years, humans had built and run this place. Now engineer Hyun-woo was turning it all off. "Status. Report," he said to his team. Reactor 1 is offline, reported Engineer Subin. Reactor 2 shutting down now. Mining platforms. All stopped. Equipment is being prepared for transport. Hyunwoo nodded. The Neph Collective had been demanding control of this station for 2 years. They said humans were not using the resources properly. They said aliens could do better. Soon they would get their chance. "Sir," called Communications Officer Yoon-ji from her station, "the Neph delegation is requesting permission to dock. They say it is urgent." "Permission denied," Hyunwoo said. He had been saying that for 6 hours now. "Tell them we are having system failures." That was not a lie. The station was failing, but not by accident. Outside the station, Neph ships waited in the darkness. The gas beings did not like waiting. They were used to getting what they wanted quickly. But today, the humans were not cooperating. On the station's main level, workers were loading equipment onto transport ships. Not everything could be taken. The big machines were too heavy. The reactors were too dangerous to move. But the important things, the things that made the station work, those were being carefully packed away. "What about the computer cores?" asked Engineer Dalsu. "Take them all," Hyunwoo said. "Every data storage unit, every backup drive, every instruction manual." The workers moved faster. They had been practicing this for months. Protocol 7 was not something humans had planned in a few days. It was the result of years of careful preparation. In the medical section of the station, Dr. Ji-won was destroying her research, not the equipment. That could be replaced. But the knowledge, the years of study, the breakthrough discoveries that had helped aliens across the galaxy, that was all being wiped clean. She had spent 8 years developing treatments for veteran crystal disease. The crystal beings got sick when their bodies grew wrong. Without her medicine, thousands of them died every year. With it, they lived normal lives. But the Galactic Council had just voted to take all human medical research. They said it belonged to everyone, not just humans. They said humans could not be trusted to share it properly. Dr. Ji-won pressed the delete button. 8 years of work disappeared in 3 seconds. Her assistant, Dr. Sang-woo, watched her do it. He was young and had spent his whole career working on this research. "Doctor," he said quietly, "all those aliens who will die without our medicine?" "They voted for this," Dr. Ji-won replied. "Their governments decided human knowledge was too dangerous for humans to control. Now they can live with that choice." She closed her computer and picked up her personal bag. "Come on. The transport leaves in 1 hour." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were happening everywhere humans worked. On Trade Station Proxima, Captain Kyung-ho was loading the last human cargo ship. The station handled trade between 12 different alien species. Human ships carried goods from one end of the galaxy to the other. Now the human ships were leaving. "Sir," said his cargo officer, "the Makthul are offering us triple payment to deliver their medical supplies to the Outer Rim." "No deal, Captain," Kyung-ho said. "We are no longer available for hire. But, sir, those supplies are for sick children." Captain Kyung-ho stopped walking. He had children of his own. The thought of sick alien children made his heart hurt. But he remembered the council meeting recordings. The Makthul had voted to put alien observers on every human world. They had voted to control human trade. The Makthul wanted independence. "From human services," he said finally. "They are getting it." The cargo ship undocked from the station and flew away. Behind it, alien traders watched and waited. They did not understand yet what was happening. They thought this was some kind of protest. They thought the humans would come back in a few days. They were wrong. On the planet New Busan, Colony Governor Park In-soo was supervising the evacuation of the most successful human settlement in the galaxy. 2 million humans lived here. They had built cities, farms, factories, schools. They had turned a dead rock into a garden world. The terraforming machines were still running. Giant atmospheric processors changed the air composition. Weather control satellites managed the climate. Soil treatment plants made the ground perfect for growing food. All of that would stop working in a few weeks without human maintenance. "Governor," said his aide, Young-soo, "the last transport is ready for boarding." "And the planetary systems?" "All automated systems have been locked down. The aliens will not be able to access them without the proper codes." "Which they do not have. Which they will never have." Governor Park looked out the window at the city he had helped build. Beautiful towers reached toward the sky. Parks and gardens filled the spaces between buildings. Children played in clean, safe streets. In a few months it would all be dead, sir, young Sue said carefully. Perhaps we could leave some basic instructions, for humanitarian reasons. They did not vote for humanitarian reasons, Governor Park replied. They voted for control. Let them control a dying world. The transport ship lifted off from New Busan's spaceport. It was the last human ship to leave. Behind it, the planet's human population dropped to 0 for the first time in 60 years. In the council chambers, emergency meetings were happening around the clock. Reports came in faster than the aliens could read them. The scope of the human evacuation was becoming clear, and it was terrifying. Sector 7 mining operations. Offline. Read Councillor Vorth. Sector 12 shipping routes. Abandoned. Medical research. Facility. Hippocrates. Evacuated and data purged. Chancellor Crickstel listened to the reports with growing horror. She had expected the humans to protest, maybe to refuse some council orders. She had not expected this. How many facilities? She asked. So far, we have confirmed evacuation of 412 installations, reported her aide. That includes mining stations, research labs, medical centers, trade hubs, manufacturing plants, and terraforming sites. And human ships? Gone. All of them. Every human-registered vessel has disappeared from our space. The Neff Collective spoke through their representative. This is impossible. Humans cannot coordinate such a large operation. But they had. Somehow, humans had organized the largest evacuation in galactic history, and they had done it so quietly that no alien government had noticed the preparations. Find them, Chancellor Crickstel ordered. Use our best tracking ships. Scan every system. They cannot have gone far. The search began immediately. Alien fleets spread across the galaxy looking for any sign of human activity. They found empty stations, abandoned colonies, ships that had been left behind because they were too damaged to make the journey, but they found no humans. On mining station Kepler 442b, the Neff delegation finally got permission to dock. They expected to find humans ready to negotiate. Instead, they found empty corridors and dark rooms. The station was intact but useless. The reactors were cold. The mining equipment was silent. The computer systems were locked down with security codes that no alien knew. Where did they go? Asked the Neff leader. Engineer Bo Young, one of the few humans still on the station, was waiting for them in the control room. She was part of the final evacuation wave, staying behind to answer questions. They went home, she said simply. This is their home. They built this place. They built it, but you wanted to own it. So now you do. Bo Young gestured around the empty control room. Congratulations. You cannot just leave. We need the rare metals this station produces. Then produce them, Bo Young said. The equipment is all here. The asteroids are still full of metal. All you need to do is figure out how to make it work. She picked up her bag and walked toward the door. Wait, the Neff leader called. At least leave us the operation manuals. Bo Young stopped and looked back. Manuals were human property. We took them with us. But without the manuals, we cannot operate the station. That sounds like a you problem, Bo Young said. She left the room, and the aliens heard her footsteps, echoing down the empty corridor. An hour later, the last human transport left the station. The Neff were alone with billions of credits worth of equipment they did not know how to use. Similar scenes played out across human space. Aliens arrived at human facilities expecting to take control. Instead, they found empty buildings and silent machines. The humans had left everything behind, but they had taken the knowledge to make it work. Dr. Hei Jin was one of the last humans to leave the medical research facility on Titan Station. She had spent 12 years there, developing treatments for alien diseases. Her work had saved millions of lives. As she walked through the empty laboratory, she remembered all the alien politicians who had visited. They had smiled and thanked her for her work. Then they had voted to take it all away from her. Dr. Hei Jin, called an alien voice behind her. She turned to see Dr. Kethlar, a veteran researcher who had worked with her for years. Please, the crystal being said, do not do this. Think of all the patients who need our medicine. I am thinking of them, Dr. He-jin replied. I am also thinking of the council vote that classified all human medical research as galactic property. Your government decided that humans could not be trusted with our own discoveries. Captain Jae-hyun stood on the bridge of his cargo ship, watching the last human convoy form up outside Centauri Trade Hub. 57 ships of all sizes floated in space, waiting for his signal. These were the final human vessels in this sector of the galaxy. Sir, said his navigator, Officer Min-soo, the station is requesting immediate contact. They say it is urgent. I am sure it is, Jae-hyun replied. He had been ignoring communication requests for 6 hours. The aliens were starting to panic. Below them, Centauri Trade Hub spun slowly in the darkness. It was one of the biggest trading stations in the galaxy. Ships from dozens of species came here to buy and sell goods, and for the past 50 years, human ships had carried most of those goods from place to place. Not anymore. Signal from the convoy, reported Communications Officer Yoon Seo. All ships ready for departure. Very good, Jae-hyun said. Set course for Rally Point Zulu. Maximum speed. The convoy jumped to hyperspace. In seconds, 57 ships carrying thousands of humans vanished from the trade hub's sensors. The aliens watching from the station could only stare at empty space. On the station, trade manager Subin was trying to explain the situation to her alien supervisors. She had worked at Centauri Hub for 15 years, managing shipping schedules and cargo manifests. She knew better than anyone how much the station depended on human ships. Ma'am, said her Makthul supervisor Vorthan, when will the human ships return? We have urgent cargo waiting for delivery. They will not return, Subin said simply. What do you mean? I mean, they are gone. All of them. Every human ship in this sector has left the galaxy. Vorthan's thick face showed confusion. That is impossible. They have contracts, legal obligations. Subin pulled out her datapad and showed him the screen. All human shipping contracts were terminated this morning. As per galactic law, we have fulfilled our legal obligations by providing 48 hours notice. But our cargo will need to be shipped by someone else. Vorthan looked at the shipping board. Hundreds of cargo loads were listed, waiting for pickup. Medical supplies for the Outer Rim, food shipments for mining colonies, construction materials for new settlements. Without human ships to carry them, they would sit on the station forever. How much of our shipping capacity was human? He asked quietly. Subin checked her records. 68%. The number hit Vorthan like a physical blow. More than half of all cargo moved through this sector was carried by human ships, ships that were now gone. Find other carriers, he ordered. Hire alien ships. I have been trying, Subin said. There are not enough alien ships to handle even 10% of the load, and the ones that exist are already booked for months. She gathered her personal belongings and headed for the door. Where are you going? Vorthan called. To catch the last human transport, Subin replied. My resignation was filed this morning. She left the station an hour later, leaving Vorthan alone with hundreds of tons of cargo and no way to deliver it. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. On the planet Vethros Prime, economic advisor Da-eun was compiling reports that made her stomach sick. The numbers were worse than anyone had imagined. She sat in her small office in the Capitol building, surrounded by data screens showing the collapse of galactic trade. Red warning lights blinked everywhere. Supply chains were breaking down. Entire sectors were facing shortages of essential goods. Minister, called her assistant through the intercom. The Chancellor wants your report in 1 hour. Tell her it will take longer to read than to compile, Da-eun muttered. The statistics were terrifying. Mining operations, 78% human-controlled. Status, offline. Shipping networks, 65% human vessels. Status, gone. Medical research, 87% human-led. Status, terminated. Manufacturing, 43% human-designed systems. Status, shut down. Terraforming projects, 92% human technology. Status, abandoned. Dae-yoon had been an economist for 20 years. She had never seen numbers like these. An entire civilization was collapsing because one species had decided to leave. Her communication device buzzed. It was a message from her home planet of New Sol. Her human parents were among the evacuees. They had sent her one final message before departing. "We are proud of you for staying to help. But remember, you are human too. When they start looking for someone to blame, they will start with you. Be careful. We love you." Da-Eun stared at the message for a long time. She was one of the few humans who had chosen to stay behind. She had thought she could help manage the crisis. Now she was beginning to wonder if she had made a mistake. On the mining world of Kepler 438b, the situation was getting desperate. The planet produced rare Earth elements that were essential for alien technology. Without these elements, ships could not fly, cities could not function, and life support systems would fail. The mining operation had been run by humans for 40 years. Now it was silent. Governor Kelthara of the Vethran Empire stood outside, the main processing plant, looking at the massive machinery that had made her people rich. Everything looked normal. The equipment was undamaged. The power systems were still running. But nothing was working. "Status report," she commanded. Her chief engineer Veltar consulted his datapad. "All mining equipment is intact. All processing facilities are operational. All transport systems are functional." "Then why is nothing being produced?" "Because we do not know how to operate any of it." Veltar led her into the control room. Hundreds of screens showed complex diagrams and readouts. Buttons and switches covered every surface. It looked like the bridge of a starship, but more complicated. "The humans left everything," Veltar explained. "But they took all the instruction manuals, all the technical guides, all the training materials. Without those, this equipment might as well be made of stone." Governor Kelthara walked to one of the control panels and pressed a button at random. Warning lights began flashing, and alarms started ringing. She quickly pressed the button again, but the alarms continued. "How do I turn this off?" she asked. "I do not know," Veltar admitted. They spent 20 minutes pushing buttons before the alarms finally stopped on their own. Governor Kelthara realized that she was looking at the most advanced mining operation in the galaxy, and it was completely useless to her people. "Contact the human government," she ordered. "Offer them anything they want to come back." "Ma'am," Veltar said carefully, "there is no human government to contact. They have all disappeared." In the council chambers, emergency session followed emergency session. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss the crisis. But without humans present, the meetings felt strange and incomplete. Chancellor Krixtal stood before the assembled delegates, trying to project confidence she did not feel. "The situation is serious but manageable," she announced. "We will adapt to the temporary absence of human services." "Temporary?" interrupted Counselor Mothra of the insectoid hive. "Our intelligence suggests this evacuation was planned for years. The humans are not coming back." "Then we will replace them," the Chancellor replied. "Other species can learn to do what humans did." "In how long?" asked Representative Felka of the Aquatic Federation. "Our water purification systems were designed by humans. Without maintenance, our cities will be uninhabitable in 3 months. Our medical facilities are already shutting down," added Dr. Kethmore of the Vethran Medical Corps. "Human-designed equipment requires human-made components. When our current supplies run out, our hospitals will close." The reports continued for hours. Every species had the same story: critical systems failing, essential services stopping, shortages of everything from food to medicine to basic technology. "How could we have been so dependent on one species?" Chancellor Krixtal asked her aide privately after the session. "Because they were very good at what they did," the aide replied, "and because they did things no one else wanted to do, such as deep space mining, long-range shipping, medical, research on dangerous diseases, terraforming hostile worlds, the jobs that were too hard, too dangerous, or too boring for other species." Chancellor Krixtal felt a cold feeling in her crystal heart. The humans had not conquered the galaxy through force. They had made themselves indispensable through service, and now that service was gone. On the research station Pasteur, Dr. Youngjaw was preparing to leave. She was one of the last humans in the medical sector, staying behind to help with the transition. But there was no transition to help with. The alien doctors could not understand her research methods. The alien nurses could not operate her equipment. The alien administrators had no idea how to run a modern hospital. "Doctor," called Dr. Zethlin, her Makthul colleague, Please reconsider. Our people need your knowledge. Your people voted to take my knowledge away from me, Dr. Youngjia replied. They said human medical research was too dangerous for humans to control. Now they can have it, all of it. Every machine, every chemical, every tool I have spent my life creating, she gestured around the laboratory. It is all here. Take it. But we do not know how to use it. Then learn. You have time. Only about 6 months before your medicine supplies run out. Dr. Zethlin looked desperate. That is not enough time to learn 30 years of human medical advances. Admiral Hei-Wan stood on the bridge of the Vethran flagship Crystal Flame, watching the largest search fleet in galactic history prepare for departure. 3,000 ships from 7 different species spread across space like a metal constellation. Every major power in the galaxy had contributed vessels to the search for humanity. "Status report," she commanded. "All ships report ready," replied her communications officer. "Search grid Alpha through Zeta is programmed. We will cover every system within 500 light-years." Admiral Hei-Wan nodded. The humans could not have gone far. Even with their advanced ships, moving 2 billion people took time. Somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the human fleet was hiding, and she would find them. "Begin the search," she ordered. The fleet scattered in all directions, each ship heading for a different sector. They would scan every planet, every asteroid, every hidden moon where humans might be hiding. It was the most comprehensive search operation ever attempted, but Admiral Hei-Wan had no idea that the humans had been preparing for this moment for years. The first search teams reached the Outer Rim 3 days later. Lieutenant Commander Jin Ho led a small squadron to investigate reports of human activity in the Kepler Nebula. Intelligence suggested that humans might have hidden supply depots there. "Sensors are picking up artificial structures," reported his science officer. "Bearing 27 Mark 4. Take us in." The ships approached slowly, weapons ready. What they found was not what they expected. Floating in space was a massive structure, clearly human-built. It looked like a space station, but wrong somehow. Parts of it were missing. Whole sections had been removed with surgical precision. "Sir," said the science officer, "I am reading hull breaches throughout the structure, but they appear to be intentional." Jin Ho studied the readings. The station was intact enough to be recognizable, but everything valuable had been stripped away. The reactors were gone. The computer cores were missing. Even the basic life support equipment had been removed. "Any signs of life?" "Negative. The station appears to have been abandoned for several weeks." They docked with the station and explored the empty corridors. In what had once been the command center, they found a single data pad left on the main console. Jin Ho picked it up and activated it. A holographic message appeared. It showed a human woman in her 50s, wearing a simple work uniform. Her name tag read, "Engineer Boram." "If you are watching this," the woman said, "then you found one of our old supply stations. As you can see, we took everything useful with us. What we left behind is yours to keep. Consider it a gift." The hologram paused, and Engineer Boram smiled sadly. "We came in peace. We offered friendship. We built together. You chose dominance over partnership. Do not follow us." The message ended, leaving Jin Ho alone in the empty command center. He looked around at the stripped walls and missing equipment. The humans had not just abandoned this place. They had systematically removed every piece of technology that might be useful. "Sir," called his security chief over the comm, "you need to see the engineering section." Jin Ho made his way through the station's corridors. In the engineering section, he found something that made his blood run cold. The fusion reactors were still there, but they had been deliberately sabotaged. Not destroyed, but modified in a way that made them completely unusable. "They did not just take their technology," his security chief said. "They made sure we could not copy what they left behind." The search team spent 3 days exploring the station. Every room told the same story. The humans had been here for months, maybe years. They had built supply depots, maintenance facilities, even living quarters. But when they left, they had taken everything that mattered. More disturbing were the signs of long-term planning, hidden compartments that had once held emergency supplies, secret docking bays designed for ships that no longer existed, communication equipment that had been programmed to relay messages to unknown destinations. "Admiral," Jin Ho reported back to the fleet, The humans have been preparing for this evacuation for a very long time. This was not a sudden decision. This was a carefully planned operation. Admiral Haywan received similar reports from across the search grid. Empty stations, abandoned outposts, supply depots stripped of everything valuable. Everywhere the search teams looked, they found evidence of human presence, but no humans. On the fourth day of the search, Science Officer Young Soo made a discovery that changed everything. His team was investigating the ruins of a human mining operation on an asteroid in the Tau Ceti system. "Admiral," he reported, "we have found something unusual. The humans left behind detailed records of their activities here." "What kind of records?" "Everything. Mining reports, personnel files, supply manifests, even personal journals. It is as if they wanted us to find this information." Young Soo transmitted the data to the flagship. Admiral Haywan studied the records with growing amazement. The files showed that humans had been secretly building new ships for over 5 years. Not just a few ships, but hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. The records also revealed the locations of hidden shipyards, secret supply routes, and staging areas that no alien government had known about. The scope of human preparation was staggering. But the most shocking discovery was a series of communication logs between human colony governors. The messages showed that humans had been planning their evacuation long before the Council's final vote. They had been preparing to leave the galaxy for years. "They knew," Admiral Haywan said to her aide. "They knew we would eventually try to control them, so they prepared for it." "Ma'am," the aide said carefully, "if they have been planning this for years, then they could be anywhere by now. They might have left our galaxy entirely." The thought had occurred to Admiral Haywan, but she had rejected it as impossible. Moving 2 billion people across intergalactic space was beyond the capability of any known technology, unless the humans had developed technology that no one else knew about. On the 7th day of the search, Captain Wanbin made the most disturbing discovery yet. His ship was investigating a human research facility on the edge of known space when his sensors detected something extraordinary. "Sir," his science officer reported, "we are picking up energy readings consistent with experimental hyperspace technology." "Impossible. No one has that kind of technology." "The readings are definitely artificial, and definitely beyond current galactic capabilities." They approached the facility carefully. It was larger than the other human installations they had found, and it showed signs of recent activity, but like all the others, it had been abandoned and stripped clean. In the main laboratory, they found evidence of research into faster-than-light travel. Not the standard hyperspace drives that all galactic species used, but something far more advanced. The equations on the laboratory walls described technology that could cross the gap between galaxies in months rather than millennia. "Captain," called his engineer from across the laboratory, "you need to see this." In a sealed chamber, they found the remains of a prototype engine. It had been deliberately destroyed before the humans left, but enough remained to identify its purpose. It was an intergalactic drive system. "They can travel between galaxies," Captain Wanbin reported to Admiral Haywan. "The humans have technology that can take them beyond our reach." The search continued for 3 more weeks, but the results were always the same. Empty facilities, abandoned outposts, evidence of massive preparation and careful planning. But no humans. The aliens found ships that had been left behind because they were too damaged to make the journey. They found supplies that were too heavy to transport. They found messages of farewell and records of departure, but they found no clues about where the humans had gone. Admiral Haywan finally called off the search after a month of fruitless hunting. She gathered her fleet and returned to the core worlds with the most comprehensive intelligence report in galactic history. The report revealed the truth about humanity's departure. It had not been a panicked evacuation. It had been a carefully orchestrated exodus planned years in advance. The humans had built a secret fleet, established hidden supply routes, and developed technology that the rest of the galaxy could not match. Most disturbing of all, they had done it while smiling and cooperating with their alien neighbors. For years, humans had attended council meetings, signed trade agreements, and participated in galactic society, all while secretly preparing to leave it behind. "They played us," Chancellor Krikstal said after reading the report. For years, they pretended to be loyal citizens while planning their escape. "With respect," Admiral Haywan replied, "I think we played ourselves. Every restriction we placed on them, every limitation we imposed, every freedom we took away, gave them more reason to plan their departure. The Chancellor's crystal face showed no emotion, but her voice carried a note of desperation. Can we follow them? Follow them where? We have no idea which direction they went. They could be in any of a million uninhabited systems. Or they could have left our galaxy entirely. Then bring them back by force. With what? Admiral Haywan asked. Our ships are slower than theirs. Our technology is inferior to theirs, and we do not even know where they are. 5 years had passed since the Great Silence began. 5 long years of watching galactic civilization slowly fall apart. Chancellor Krixtal stood in the council chambers, looking at the empty seats where human representatives had once sat. The room felt cold and dead without their voices. Today's emergency session was the most desperate yet. Representatives from dozens of species had come to beg for help that no one could provide. The crisis had grown beyond anyone's worst fears. Report from the Makthul Empire, Chancellor Krixtal called. Councillor Vorth stood slowly. He looked much older than 5 years ago. His thick frame had grown thin and his voice was weak. The plague has reached our core worlds, he announced. Without human medicine, we have lost 40% of our population. Our remaining colonies are requesting emergency evacuation, but we have no ships available for transport. Murmurs of sympathy filled the chamber, but sympathy could not save lives. Report from the Vethran Confederation, the Chancellor continued. Representative Keltara's crystal body was dim and cracked. The rare minerals that kept Vethran bodies healthy were no longer being mined. Our industrial capacity has dropped to 12% of pre-Exodus levels, she reported. Without the rare elements from human mining operations, our cities are going dark. We estimate complete system failure within 6 months. More reports followed. The Neph Collective had lost contact with half their colonies when life support systems failed. The Aquatic Federation's water purification plants were breaking down. The insectoid hive's food production had collapsed without human agricultural technology. Every species had the same story. Critical systems failing, essential supplies running out, populations dying from diseases that human medicine could have cured. How many total casualties? Chancellor Krixtal asked her aide. Current estimates suggest we have lost approximately 30% of the galaxy's population, came the quiet reply. The death toll continues to rise daily. 30%. Nearly 2 billion beings dead because one species had decided to leave. The number was so large it was almost meaningless. But each death represented a family destroyed, a community lost, a future that would never exist. Any word from our search fleets? The Chancellor asked desperately. Admiral Haywan reports no success in the Outer Rim. Admiral Telvar has found no trace of human activity in the southern sectors. All searches have been unsuccessful. 5 years of searching, thousands of ships, millions of credits spent, and not a single human had been found. Perhaps, suggested Councillor Mothra of the insectoid hive, we should consider apologizing. The word hung in the air like a curse. Apologizing meant admitting they had been wrong. It meant acknowledging that they had destroyed their own civilization through pride and arrogance. Apologizing to whom? Asked Representative Felka. We do not even know where they are. Then send the apology to open space, Councillor Mothra replied. Broadcast it on all frequencies. Tell them we were wrong. Tell them we need them back. Tell them we will give them anything they want. Chancellor Krixtal considered the suggestion. Pride was a luxury they could no longer afford. If humiliation could save their civilization, then humiliation was a small price to pay. Draft an official. Apology, she ordered her aide. Address it to humanity wherever they may be. The apology was broadcast across the galaxy on every frequency. It was transmitted into deep space in the hope that human ships might hear it. It was sent to every system where humans had once lived. For days, the message repeated endlessly. To the human species, wherever you may be. The Galactic Council formally apologizes for our past actions. We recognize that we were wrong to impose restrictions on your freedom. We were wrong to demand oversight of your activities. We were wrong to treat you as subjects rather than partners. We humbly request your return and offer to negotiate any terms you desire. The message was signed by every member of the council and broadcast in 17 different languages. It was the first time in galactic history that the council had apologized to anyone. The response was silence. Days turned into weeks. The apology continued to broadcast, but no human ships appeared. No human voices answered. The galaxy remained as empty of human presence as it had been for 5 years. Then, one day, something changed. Communications Officer Dalsu was monitoring long-range sensors when he detected an unusual signal. It was faint and distant, but definitely artificial, and it was coming from outside the galaxy. "Ma'am," he reported to Chancellor Crixtall, "we are receiving a transmission, origin unknown, but the signal characteristics are consistent with human technology." The Chancellor's crystal heart began beating faster. "Put it through." The main view screen flickered to life. At first there was only static. Then the image cleared, and a figure appeared that made the entire council gasp. It was Admiral Kang Day, former commander of the human military. But he looked different. Older, yes, but also confident, happy. He wore a uniform that no one recognized, with insignia that belonged to no known military. "Greetings, former colleagues," he said calmly. "We received your message." Behind him, through the viewports of his ship, the council could see something that stole their breath. Stars, but not their stars. These were different constellations, unknown patterns, the light of an entirely foreign galaxy. "You found a new galaxy," Chancellor Crixtall whispered. "We did more than find it," Admiral Kang Day replied. "We made it our home." The camera pulled back to show more of his bridge. Human officers worked alongside beings that no council member had ever seen. Strange aliens with features that defied description. New species that humanity had apparently befriended in their new home. "We have found friends here," Admiral Kang Day continued. "Real friends. Partners who value cooperation over domination. Equals who respect our choices and trust our judgment." The camera angle shifted to show the view outside the ship. What the council saw was beyond their comprehension. Massive structures floated in space, larger than anything in their galaxy. Ships of impossible design moved between them. The humans had not just survived their exile, they had thrived. "But know this," Admiral Kang Day's voice hardened. "The darkness between galaxies is vast. The journey is dangerous. We crossed it once out of necessity. We will not cross it again out of nostalgia." "Please," Chancellor Crixtall found her voice. "Our civilization is dying. Billions have already perished. We need your help." "You had our help," Admiral Kang Day replied. "For 3 centuries, we shared our knowledge, our technology, our labor. We built hospitals to heal your sick. We operated mines to power your cities. We carried your goods across the galaxy. We asked for nothing but the right to exist as free beings. We made mistakes. You made choices," Admiral Kang Day interrupted. "You chose to see us as threats rather than friends. You chose control over cooperation. You chose to drive us away rather than welcome us as equals." The transmission showed more views of humanity's new home, cities floating in space, their lights warm and welcoming, farms on alien worlds, growing food in soil enriched by technologies. Beyond council understanding, children playing in parks under foreign stars, human and alien youngsters learning together. "You taught us a valuable lesson," Admiral Kang Day continued. "You taught us that strength is not measured by the ability to dominate others. True strength is the ability to choose your own path, even when that path leads into the unknown." Chancellor Crixtall felt desperation rising in her crystal throat. "What can we do? How can we make this right?" "Learn," Admiral Kang Day said simply. "Learn to value cooperation over control. Learn to respect others rather than dominate them. Learn to build rather than take. Will you return if we change?" Admiral Kang Day was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was sad, but final. "Even if we wanted to return, the bridge between our galaxies has been burned. The technology that brought us here was experimental and dangerous. It worked once, but it cannot be repeated safely. We are separated not just by distance, but by the fundamental laws of physics." The camera focused on his face again. For a moment, he looked like the man who had once served in council chambers, who had shaken alien hands and worked toward galactic peace. But perhaps, he said, separation is what both our peoples need. We have found our place among new stars. You must find yours among the old ones. A final transmission began playing. It showed a young human woman barely old enough to be an adult. Her name appeared on the screen. Ji Woo, former council intern. The council remembered her. She had been the smiling girl who brought coffee to meetings, who had always been eager to help, who had believed in the dream of galactic cooperation. "Hello," she said, and her voice carried a wisdom that had not been there 5 years ago. "I wanted to send one last message to the galaxy that raised me." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "You taught us that in your galaxy, strength determined worth. You taught us that the powerful make the rules and the weak follow them. You taught us that freedom is something to be granted or taken away at the whim of those in charge." Her young face was serious, but not angry. "You were right about strength. We were never strong enough to change your minds, but we were strong enough to find a new home. We were strong enough to cross the void between galaxies. We were strong enough to start over.